In this section of the chapter, we are going to look at what it costs to insure yourself as a motorist. So if you have a car and you drive it, you are required by law to have auto insurance. And what that is financial protection for the person that owns the car. With auto insurance, you can financially protect yourself if you hit another vehicle or another person with your car. So if there's a runner and they're running and you hit them with your car, that would go against your auto insurance policy. And your insurance policy is going to cover any damages to that vehicle and any medical coverage required for people that are involved in an auto accident, or any medical coverage for people if you hit them with your car. This is required by law in all states. This is very minimum coverage, but it is required by law. It also protects you if your vehicle is in an accident and the other driver does not have car insurance. So here I put your vehicle and medical bills if another driver hits you, but that really is if that person doesn't have auto insurance. Even though everyone's required by law to have auto insurance, not everyone does. You can have financial protection for your vehicle if you hit another car. So if I need to get my car repaired and it's included in my policy, I can have my car repaired and the insurance company will cover that cost, or at least a portion of it. Let's say that I have a telephone wire fall on my car. I can have coverage for that to be covered to get that repaired should that happen. The only item, though, that auto insurance does not really cover is if somebody robs your car. So, for example, one year we were Christmas shopping on Black Friday and somebody threw a brick through our window and took all of the toys out of the back of my van. I found out that that is not covered by auto insurance. That is actually covered by my homeowner's insurance. So theft from a car is not necessarily covered by auto insurance, even though it's part of your car. So some fun facts. The first automobile accident happened on May 30th of 1896 when a driver hit a person on a bicycle. So clearly there's not very many cars back in 1896. There probably weren't that many people on bicycles, but here a car hit someone on a bicycle. The first fatal accident, though, happened in a fatal car accident happened September 13th, 1899, when a vehicle actually struck a person. So that does happen. That is unfortunate, but it does happen, and it happens today. Even if someone's crossing the street in front of your car, you may hit them. And the very first insurance policy that was offered in 1897. So I'm not sure if the person in 1899 had insurance, but insurance actually has not been required by law. More recently has it become a law that anyone who operates a vehicle is required to also have auto insurance. Now there are three types of auto insurance policies that you can get. The cheapest auto insurance policy you can get is liability. And what this covers is it covers the property damage and bodily injury to another person if you cause an accident. It doesn't cover anything else. It's only going to cover the cost to repair their car and for them to cover their medical bills. The next policy type that you can get is called collision, and this is going to cover everything that liability covers, plus it will cover the cost of repairs and maintenance to your own car should you get into an accident. Now I do want to say with liability insurance, this is the most minimal type of policy and it is required by law in all states. It is not required to have collision insurance because if your car gets damaged, that's your responsibility to fix your own car, whereas if you hit someone else, our state policies would be that we would be required to be able to cover the cost of damages to their car, and that is why insurance is required by law for people to have at least liability. Now the third type of policy you can have is comprehensive insurance. So comprehensive covers everything that collision would cover, plus it covers items that are not related to traffic accidents. So if there's some type of natural disaster, let's say there's a flood or an earthquake or a forest fire, that would be included in comprehensive. Let's say somebody vandalizes your car, they come by and key the car, or they use spray paint and black out your windows. That would be covered under comprehensive. Each one of these policies increases in price because the liability covers the least, so it's the cheapest, whereas the comprehensive covers the most. It's the most expensive type, but it's up to you which one you get. A lot of people will only have collision on their car if their car is worth a decent amount of money, because once your car is only worth $1,000, it may be the same price as your deductible, and it might not be worth even having collision on it. Same with comprehensive. They're only going to cover so much on that car. Once your car gets totaled, meaning that it's not worth the repair that it would take to fix it, it's not worth having comprehensive on the vehicle. Here's a little bit more information on how those rates are actually determined. So when you set up your insurance policy, they have limits for how much they're willing to cover. And so the first example up there, Ohio's minimum coverage is $25,000 for bodily injury, $50,000 for maximum coverage of any bodily injury in the car. So if there's 2 or more people, then they will cover up to $50,000 of medical bills. Whereas if there's only one person, they'll only cover up to $25,000 of medical bills. And then the last 25 up there represents the damage to the property. So if you have up to $25,000 damage to the property, that's what the insurance company will pay. What that doesn't mean is that, let's say that somebody has bodily injury and there's only one person in the car and they had $30,000 of medical bills. My insurance company will pay $25,000, but then I am responsible for the other $5,000. And if I don't pay that, that person can take me to court to have money taken out of my paycheck so that I do end up paying that. So getting minimal coverage isn't always the best. It's the cheapest, but it's not always the best. The amount of deductible you're willing to pay will also affect your insurance rate. So if you have a higher out-of-pocket deductible, then that's going to reduce the price of your policy. And you can have $250 out of pocket, or you can have up to $1,000 or more. For my own insurance policy, we have about $1,000 on our insurance policy. Your demographic information will affect your rates. So the younger you are, and if you're a male, you will automatically have higher rates. That's because studies have shown that males have more accidents than females. It could be because males drive more often than females, and that younger people have more accidents than more experienced drivers. They also take into consideration how much driving you actually do. So if you live close to work, then they will give you a lower rate. Or if you don't travel very much, you will get a lower rate. And then the type of car that you have would also affect your rate. So if you have a newer and expensive car, then it's going to be more expensive to insure than an older car that doesn't have much value. And the final thing that really affects your rates is your driving record. If you've been in a lot of accidents, if you regularly receive speeding tickets, or if you have driving infractions that are going to add points to your license, then you are going to have higher rates. And to be quite honest with your driving record, there's some insurance companies that won't even take you on because you're too expensive to insure, and they have no interest in having you as a customer because they're afraid they're going to pay out more money than you're going to pay in. So let's look at some practice problems. Here we have Josiah Jackson is in an accident. The amount of damage is $1,500. He has a $500 deductible. How much does Jacob have to pay, and how much does the insurance company have to pay? Well, because Jacob has a $500 deductible, that means that he is going to be paying $500 before the insurance company pays anything at all. So the amount that he's going to pay is going to be $500. However, the insurance company will cover some of this cost. And how much will they cover? Well, they're going to cover everything that the deductible does not cover. So they're going to give him a check for $1,000. And then when he goes to pay for his damages and he goes to pay his bill at the auto repair shop, he'll also give a check for $500 to cover his deductible. All right, the next question says, Angie Anderson has an insurance policy with a $500 deductible that costs $600 per year. She wants to reduce her deductible to $250, and the new policy will cost $750 per year. What is the difference in price, and what is the percent increase in cost of the new policy? Well, here we're going to look and see what's the new policy worth. So this one's the new, this is the new price, and this will be the old price of $600. So the new policy, if I take the difference of those, is going to be an increase of $150. But the next question says, what's the percentage increase of the new policy? So let's put here, this is the difference. I'm just going to abbreviate that. All right, well, to determine the new price increase, what the percent increase on this policy is, we're going to use a formula basically where we could say new minus old divided by old is going to give us our rate change. This is a formula that you actually will use for financial calculations regularly. And so anytime they're saying how much did a rate increase, what was the percentage increase, this is the formula right here that you're going to be using for all of this. Well, we've already figured out what the new minus the old is. That's what this $1,500 is. We can then divide this by the old price. And when I do, that's going to give me 0.25. If I convert that to a percentage, I'm going to take that and multiply it by 100, and that's going to give me 25% increase. Now, our final problem is a little bit more involved. We have Sam Smith, and he was involved in an accident in which he was at fault. He totaled his vehicle, which was valued at $5,000, and he totaled the other vehicle, valued at $20,000. Because of bodily injury to the other motorist, the court awarded a total of $55,000 to the other driver. This includes the cost of the vehicle and the cost of the medical bills. Sam's policy was $25, $50, $40, and he had a deductible of $500. How much money does Sam pay the other motorist if there was only one person involved in the accident, and how much money did Sam get for his totaled vehicle? And then the second part to this would be, what would he pay if there were two people involved in this accident? So we need to do a little bit of calculating first. What we need to figure out is how much did they pay for medical and how much did they pay that other vehicle or the other driver for their car. So it looks like here, if we are to look at this, it looks like here the amount of money they got, like the total amount that was paid out to the motorist, I'm just going to put kind of motorist up here, is $55,000. Now, part of this was for his vehicle. So the cost of his car was worth $20,000. So that means that the rest of that, if I take that off, is going to be the medical. And that's going to be worth $35,000. So now we can actually look at this and figure out how much money did he have to pay out of pocket. So if there was only one motorist in that car, let's say there was one person, well, the insurance policy is going to pay for the vehicle in total. So this is what the insurance policy will cover. They'll cover the cost of the vehicle. Whoops, cross that out. Okay, they'll cover the cost of the vehicle, and that would be $20,000. But if I look up top, the amount of money they're willing to pay for one person is only $25,000. So the insurance company, for medical purposes, is going to pay $25,000. However, and that means that the insurance company wrote a check for $45,000. However, they actually had additional medical costs. It was more than the $25,000. They had medical of an extra $10,000. So Sam would pay an extra $10,000 here. That's how much Sam has to pay. And that would match what this says. Sam pays $10,000, the insurance company pays $45,000. That matches what the court said that they were due of $55,000. Now, if there were two people, that means that the policy will cover up to $50,000. So for two people, for the car, the insurance company would cover the $20,000 cost of the car because that's less than this $40,000. But for medical purposes now, they're willing to cover up to $50,000. Well, medical was $35,000, not a problem. The insurance company is going to cover all of it, and Sam would pay $0. So this is kind of the insurance here and what they're covering. All right, so that answers how much Sam would have to pay in this accident to the other driver if there was only one person, and how much he would have to pay if there were two people. The other part of the question said, how much money did Sam get for his totaled vehicle up here? Well, we can see here that his car was valued at $5,000 and he has a $500 deductible. So because of that, we have the value of his car of $5,000, and then we have the deductible of $500. So we're going to subtract all of that off, and that means the insurance company, no matter how many people were involved in this accident, gave Sam $4,500 as a check to cover the cost of his totaled vehicle. So him getting money for his vehicle has nothing to do with whether or not there was one person involved in the accident or two people involved in the accident. This only matters in the event that Sam has to actually pay money out based off of how much money his policy would cover towards this event.